Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Dr. Jun Pei, CEO of Nasdaq-listed Cepton, to discuss LiDAR technologies and the solutions that Cepton provides. Dr. Pei, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks. Explain to us what LiDAR and LiDAR companies are and what differentiates Cepton.
Well, LiDAR has its biggest market in automobile industry, specifically for the advanced driver assist system that will actually bring cars to a safer and more autonomous driving experience to the users. For us, Cepton Technologies, we actually differentiate ourselves among all the crowd of LiDAR companies that we have the largest design win of ADAS program. That is the Ultra Cruise program with General Motors. This Ultra Cruise program is actually a advanced driver assistance program that will exist in many model of cars within General Motors platforms. So that's actually a very big accomplishment for our company, as well as for the entire LiDAR industry. Now, with this program, Ultra Cruise, a platform that will exist in many car models, LiDAR is finally going mainstream for all the cars, all the consumer cars.
How can someone outside of the industry evaluate LiDAR and the differences in technology?
Yes, LiDAR is actually a fairly sophisticated technology. It involves optics, electronics, mechanics, as well as plenty of software. So it's very hard for the outsiders to evaluate exactly which technology is the more advanced, which technology will actually dominate in the future. The only thing that actually validate in the real sense of what technology is actually commercial success. So I wouldn't dive into the transistors or the optical lenses for consumers. Just look at the design wins associated with the automotive industry. Who in the LiDAR industry has the design wins? And for us, of course, we have the largest design win in this industry. That speaks for itself in terms of a technology advancement for us as a Silicon Valley company.
And your proprietary technology is MMT LiDAR. What is that?
Well, LiDAR in the past has always been considered expensive. And MMT is the first time we broke that spell by creating a balance between performance, cost, and reliability. So by engineering and innovation, we invented this MMT technology that based on a mature technique of a loudspeaker that was used for almost a century. And we bring this this technique into the LiDAR industry with this invention that finally arrived at a LiDAR construction that can be low cost as well as high performance. And with this technology, again, together with the General Motors design win, the LiDAR will finally start to appear in consumer cars and save lives and provide autonomous driving for the consumers.
So, Dr. Pei, how does LiDAR make vehicles more safe?
Well, that's a very good question. Just consider yourself. LiDAR is a sensor for cars, but we humans have sensors to ourselves. We have our nose, we have our mouth, we have our ears, and very specifically, we have our eyes. But can you actually, orientate yourself and navigate yourself, say, without your eyes, just listening to the surroundings? The answer is yes, you can to a certain extent, but it's not perfect. You do need all the sensory systems, and in cars, there exist the cameras that has been existing for a couple of decades, and then there are also radars that can detect obstacles. But none of these are actually perfect to complete the sensory system. And the LiDAR specifically is called the eyes for cars. It can detect obstacles in a three-dimensional precision that will actually provide additional information to the perception algorithms for cars. So finally bring cars to have full awareness of the environment. So it will actually be able to do automatic braking, for example, and navigation around the obstacles and stay in the correct lanes. And all of those, LiDAR will be a big part of that.
It's amazing. That technology is so remarkable. We take it for granted getting into our cars, whether we're rushing to commute or we're rushing to get to school. And all this technology just gets taken for granted and really is fascinating. Let's talk about Cepton more specifically. It went public earlier this year. How has the transition been to the public markets and what's ahead for the company?
Well, we've been hiding for quite a while under a closet, working on the General Motors Ultra Cruise system. And with this announcement from General Motors, there is a Ultra Cruise. This is advanced ADAS, and it will actually exist in so many platforms of cars. And with the LiDAR as the centerpiece, it's going to stay behind the windshield. With all these things and all the momentum we carried, we went public early this year. And as we became public, the number one thing obviously is we became a much better known company in the LiDAR industry. The increased visibility helped us to get a lot of attraction from not only GM, but also all the other OEMs, notable OEMs in the world. In fact, we have now solid engagement with all the top 10 OEMs in the world for car manufacturing. That's actually helped by both the design win from General Motors as well as the fact that we become public. And also becoming a public company now listed in Nasdaq, it allows to grow and scale the business in a much more effective way. So that actually we enjoy the ride very much so. But when it comes down to day-to-day work, honestly, it hasn't really changed anything. Every day I come to work, and everybody comes to work here to work on something that we've been doing for the last year, 3-4 years. So in terms of actual work, it didn't really change anything. But to the outside, we actually became a much notable company.
Well, thank you for making our cars safer and for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you very much.